ask myself, what was I even fighting for? Was I fighting for peace? No. Even after that, it only caused more unrest and paranoia.
Rethink your choice. Do you wish to remove the peace that echoed the blossoms of friendship and community, who wishes to aim to make every player to have fun, and the very players that fight for peace? Do you really wish to be part of the Crow play? So today will be the end of Crowtorium, the end of a regime that supports the end of peace. At this very moment, the soldiers of peace will fight against the Crow. In a fight far from here, the new faction crumbles to the Bruder Pack, while secretly connected to the evil Mortis. All enemies against the peace will be eradicated, and will remember this as the last day of the Crow. Today, I will be talking about the most deadliest conflicts of Nostalgia Revive's history, the PocketLands Wars. This is a deep dive explanation and storytelling of both wars. We will explain the before, the during, and the after. We will also talk about the battles that took place, the lessons we made, and the true climax, and the true question of what were we fighting for. Let's dive in. Before the start of the war, before everything, before all the crap that happened, it was peace on a regular day. It was peace, quiet. All the players were building, mining, and having fun. Suddenly, a player by the name of AHFJ asked me to duel him. I agreed, and both of us had a duel. I won by a long shot and walked away with a victory smile, not before respecting AHFJ for a good GG. Then, Mortis told me that AHFJ was dissing me in chat, calling me names, and he was probably mad about his loss in the PvP match. Quickly, I joined back after trying to sleep. I told AHFJ what was his problem, but then AHFJ announced there on the 22nd of July 2024, I declared war on AHFJ, starting by far the most deadliest conflict of Nostalgia Revive's history. And it began quickly then. The first battle of the war took place, the Battle of Iron Castle. Mortis and me quickly defended the base. We quickly destroyed AHFJ, but then AHFJ started vandalizing other people's bases, like the Gametopian Embassy in Iron Castle and another castle next to it, Brandon's Castle. Then both players were dragged into this. We four destroyed HFJ, not before being kicked by Wantogo. It was a good thing Wantogo kicked AHFJ. Things could have escalated even farther, but no. It was a very good victory for Fokria and Gametopia. But during this battle, HFJ killed innocent players and bystanders who weren't even part of this war, like Agentrio and Guest. After this battle, everybody logged off. Presumably, around the midnight, HFJ came back. Mortis was the only one online in the server, and both had a team. Mortis unfortunately lost the battle. This mini skirmish I would call the second battle of Iron Castle. However, I do not know the location, as Mortis did not told me. So I would like to call this Mortis' last stand. It would be the only victory of HFJ. However, it's unrecognized and no one remembers it except for me and Mortis. There was also a bit of drama in the PocketLands Discord server between a player named Doraemon and Zebra. It turns out Doraemon sold Zebra's house, but Doraemon did not know who owned it. Zebra was pissed until HFJ stepped in into the situation and tried to bring Zebra's side since Doraemon is a Valkyrie. However, this failed, and the drama ended, as everybody in Spy and Brandon stopped the entire situation. Another blow to HFJ. The third battle will happen in the net. Spy and Mortis track down HFJ. This was the first of two battles of the PocketLands War that ever happened on different dimensions than the overworld. Spy was and HFJ were in both in the nether, while Mortis was keeping HFJ outside the player population of the overworld because HFJ was dangerous. Again, he killed a lot of innocent players like Argentrio and Guest. Spy still killed HFJ, however, it was a task failed successfully for Spy because HFJ still respawned in the overworld. It was again still another Valkyrie and game token victory, a big blow to HFJ. The following days where Falco, me, establishes the anti-HFJ League. It was a league of players who were against HFJ. These players will mostly consist of Valkyrie and Gametopian members. However, other members are from innocent players who were victims of HFJ's slaughter of other players. And the final battle took place on Spawn. This was the Battle of Spawn. Spy, me, Mortis, and Brandon all went on HFJ. HFJ surrendered, but there was a plot twist. He was Fun Games, an old friend of Just Alpha of all players. Everybody knew him. He was also part of the Falcon Fun Games War. However, that is not part of the PocketLands Wars. We quickly stopped fighting, respecting one another. This final battle was the climax. The lessons here was that it was a very pointless war. What were we fighting for? It was actually nothing. We didn't fight for anything. It was all pointless killing and mindlessly fighting each other. It didn't make sense, and it had hundreds of casualties, damages to the server, and also the casualties were due to keep inventory. The aftermath was the server losing a lot of members and going inactive. The war was basically a last-ditch effort for activity, and when it ended, everyone was tired, and they all left. It had been 8 months of peace, but unrest had been unraveling. Just last week, the entity crisis in the leak of Operation Slaughterhouse made the server enter a period of unrest, untrust, and rising tensions and dramas. But one person entered the stage, and his name is Gratum, and came with him is Crotoria. When he first came, NostalgiaRevive was already a drama shitshow. Players didn't trust each other. Gametopia was protected by nobody noticing Gametopia, and Falkria was under a plague of unrest. Crotoria quickly set off work, advertising its faction and emphasizing on building supplies quickly. Although no one joined Crotoria other than Zuni, nothing else happened until Gratum vandalized Vanguard and did it twice. Falco and the Falcons were getting pissed, and tensions quickly escalated fast. During these vandalisms, animals and resources were taken and stolen. Gratum wanting war and his aggressiveness towards Falkria and Falco turned into a turning point. On March 31st, 2025, the Brutal Pact, an alliance of Falkria consisting of all the factions of Nostalgia Revive declared war on Victoria, beginning one of the deadliest conflicts of Nostalgia Revive's history. The rotten cancer of Victoria ravages Nostalgia Revive like a plague. The relentless drive into our fatherland steals the lives of our citizens and soldiers alike. The arrogance of their leader and his brutality. These are the darkest days of Falkria and on the entire server. During that same day, the Bruder Pack organized their numbers and prepared. They all went on Vanguard, but after a few hours, a horrific sight came in. Ratum was spotted in Vanguard and started killing the unprepared Bruder Pack forces. Saku, Spy, Zaki, and Pennywise were all slaughtered by Ratum. It was here where Brandon held a stand. One of the most iconic duels the server ever saw, and it was all happening in Vanguard, what I would like to call the Battle of Vanguard. All the anger and frustration led to Dismount. His friends were being destroyed, and now it's time for him to teach this monster a lesson. Brandon formed the duo and won the Battle of Vanguard. The Bruder Pack breathed a sigh of relief. However, they suffered heavy losses, and during the battle, most thought they were going to lose, but they won. On April 1st, the most famous speeches took place. Falco's speech named to the players of Nostalgia Revive. Alright, alright. Everyone, players of Nostalgia Revive, it is now upon an evil threat that has appeared on the sun. A threat that takes form of a crow. This threat has been making moves, disturbing our very peace, appearing abruptly and suddenly.
announcing it to everyone to follow it, and making threats against our peace. I ask you, players of Nostalgia Revive, are you sure you want to keep this crow that disturbs our peace? Now, the crow has made an imagined crime. Against our peace, it has vandalized our base, griefed the Rhineland, and scorched our territory. The members of Voodoo Pack has already made their decision to end this crow's schemes. Players of Nostalgia Revive, join the Brooder Pack's side to erase the evil crow. Players, join Falkria's charge. Join Gametopia's siege, and join Zadela's castle. Those who wish to join the crow's ring, rethink your choice. Do you wish to remove the peace that echoed the blossoms of friendship and community, who wishes to aim to make every player to have fun, and the very players that fight for peace? Do you really wish to be part of the Crow Plague? So today will be the end of Crowtorium, the end of a regime that supports the end of peace. At this very moment, the soldiers of peace will fight against the Crow. In a fight far from here, the new faction crumbles to the Brooder Pack, while secretly connected to the evil Mortis. All enemies against of peace will be eradicated, and will remember this as the last day of the Crow.
During that same afternoon, the Brooder Pack tracked down the base of Gratum. Falco wanted to pay for his absence in the Battle of Vanguard by vandalizing Gratums filled with upside-down teas and water. This was far one of the most biggest and probably largest vandalism of Nostalgia Revive's history as of writing this down. And that same day, the final battle took place, the second battle of Vanguard. Gratum was pissed that his base got vandalized to an oblivion. Now he wants vengeance. He came to Vanguard and wants to face Falco, me. I barricaded myself in my house as he stays waiting outside my door. I was preparing a last-minute gear. I was prepared, but I managed to cobble up a good enough gear to fight him, and it was one of the most famous fights in the server's history. I had committed crimes and sins to this world. I did horrible things. Now this is my chance to redeem myself. Time to be the hero of Nostalgia Revive. The server's fate lands on my shoulders. This evil is going to ruin and destroy everything that needs to be stopped by someone. Someone like me. For Falkria! And Grantham left the server for good. He said his farewell, and he said that he wanted to thank everyone for fighting with him and complimenting everyone. Everyone watched and participated, and all went on the Fogria Hubcastle. Everyone who participated there took a pic. Everyone was happy. The Bruto Pack won this war. This was the climax, and the perfect climax we ever seen. We were fighting for peace, and peace was achieved. God save Nostalgia Revive. So guys, let's talk about these wars a little bit further. So what is a PocketLands War? A PocketLands War is a conflict in the servers Nostalgia Revive and PocketLands. To make a PocketLands War, it needs to have all the factions involved in the conflict and have everyone in it, like today's World Wars. And we can do a comparison to the PocketLands Wars and our real World Wars. The first PocketLands War is slow, massive casualties, horrific war crimes, and boring warfare like the First World War, due to MCP PvP being slow and boring. The second PocketLands War was fast-paced combat like the Second World War, but although it was a short conflict and less casualties. In all honesty, a chances of a third PocketLands War is pretty slim, and probably won't happen. The admins and the community don't want to have a major conflict harming the server again. And for you guys watching, if you want to join the server, don't cause trouble and drama. At wars, the admins are losing their tolerance of wars. Anyway, thank you for everyone for watching this video. This is a large project, but I'm very proud of my work. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also ring the bell for more videos like this.